Hi, this is Charles Kelly, Money Tips. Hope you're having a good day. You've probably been keeping an eye on the news, and you may have heard, among other things, that uh, you know, obviously we're all listening to the coronavirus news, and it's now reached, it's getting on for 500,000 people worldwide, and markets last week have been plunging by record drops in America and here, and they were really down. Like the Dow Jones was falling below 20,000. The FT 100 index was at 4,000 something at one point, which is going back to what it was 25 years ago. But today, or yesterday, in fact, yesterday afternoon, the markets bounced back and they've surged ahead, and they went up by record amounts, but they're still well down on what they were in January of this year. However, it looks like recovery, and this is because the US Congress agreed a $2 trillion. A billion's a lot, right? But 1,000 billion is a trillion. That's a lot of money, and this will mean that money will be released to support the economy in America. But America affects the rest of us. The old saying that when America sneezes, the rest of the world catches a cold. Perhaps that applies to China as well now. But the markets came up again, and I think a lot of people think that's it. Think, well, the market's recovered now, but I don't believe that. As with all these things, you get this sort of dip, this V-shaped dip, where if you look on the charts, it dips down and then comes up again, and people think that's the end of it, but it definitely isn't the end of it. A lot of people on these dips, then you get these bottom feeders who then buy in stocks, and then they go up again, they sell them again. So there's a lot of short-term trading going on, and bets going on, futures bets and options traded. So there's a lot of money being made on these ups and downs. There was one guy, Dan Ackman, who's made 2.6 billion on various they call them spread bets, these type of bets where you bet on the market, and it's unbelievable, really, isn't it? When you think 2 billion is made on a few bets on the market, it's just incredible. More than most people would make in a lifetime. They just make it on a single bet. So the market's had this V-shaped dip, and people think, well, that's it. And a lot of people think, well, because the market's dropped, then shares look cheap, it must be right to buy them. But that's not always the case. I mean, just because a share which was once overpriced up here in January drops down by, say, 25 or 30%, does that mean it's cheap? Well, it might look cheap, but what is cheap? What is cheap when you go into a shop and it says, this is on sale for £100. Last week it was £150. Well, so what? What's the real value of that item? Could compared to where you could get it somewhere else, for instance, or what is the real value? So when you say shares look cheap, are they really cheap, or are they just on their way down? Are they still expensive when you look at the fundamentals of the market? You look at the fundamentals of that company. You look at the earnings potential of that company. You look at the debt of that company. You look at the prospect of that company surviving a long recession or even a depression. Who knows? We could be in 1929 territory here, as some people are predicting. We could be in for a long one here. And just because the markets bounce back, the same news that was there the day before is still there today, except that the government are going to pump in all this money. Now remember, the last measures they made were to reduce interest rates from, I think, by 1.5%. They've gone down in America almost to zero, and the UK has gone down almost to zero as well. But that didn't seem to make a lot of difference. So we've still got hundreds of thousands of people infected. We've got close down of economies. As I was saying yesterday, the UK has virtually shut everything down. We're all on a kind of massive lockdown. I think in America it's not quite the same. They do it state by state. But most countries in Europe are locked down. Shops are closed. You go out in the streets, it's like a ghost town. It looks like a Sunday afternoon before they brought in Sunday trading, when Sunday was a quiet day and there wasn't Sunday trading. That's what it looks like now. And the streets haven't got any traffic. I've been out to do shopping and exercise, and yeah, there are a few people about, but it really is dead out there. And you look at all the restaurants and the cafes and the bars and pubs, and it's just terrible that they're losing this business. And talking about that, the Chancellor is expected to announce help for the self-employed this week. As of now, they've kind of been left to one side. I know lots of self-employed people. I know a very good photographer, for instance, that is self-employed. I'm self-employed. There are so many people that, and we tend to get left to one side. We're expected to kind of row our own boat. We're self-employed. In fact, it's almost like the taxman doesn't like us because they have to deal with us. They have to. It takes longer to get the tax from us, and we can claim things against our income which they don't like. And it's almost like every government would prefer us just to be neatly packaged up into an employed person where they take our tax every week or every month as we get pay. They take the money, pay as you earn, pay your tax as you earn. And they just don't seem to like us, do they? But nevertheless, if you're going to allow this, if you're going to stop this virus spreading, you need all the self-employed people to be at home, not going out to work. And as of yesterday, I saw construction workers working on buildings because most of them are self-employed or paid by the day. They're not employed by the companies. If they don't go to work, they don't earn any money. But if you're going to stop the spread of this virus, you've got to incentivize these people to stay at home, or at least give them something to live on if they have to stay at home. Same thing with an Uber driver. You don't want an Uber driver to go and to be driving around with a virus in them, knowing that they don't feel very well, but they can't afford to stay at home that day. So there you go. We hope to hear something tomorrow, and I'll be reporting on that. Now, you might be listening to this in a few weeks' time. You might be listening to this next month or the month after. But I don't think this crisis is going to end next week. So this will not be out of date. Yes, the markets are up and down. They're up at the moment, but they might be down next week. We don't know. I think we're in for a long haul recession, and we could see a big bear market there where shares really drop, and then it will be, it's really going to sort out the men from the boys, and who will be left when as Warren Buffett said, when the tide goes out, who's left with their pants down, like who's left surviving, and which company is going to be left with lots of debt that they can't repay. So we'll have to see. Now, we also mentioned that the government has mentioned said they were bringing in a package to help businesses with a business loan guarantee scheme, but as of yet we haven't seen this materialise in the banks. Now, I've got the Times was reporting today that many of the banks have not been, the staff in many of the banks and the business managers have not even been given any details of this scheme. So they're in no way ready to roll this out to businesses who need this money. So I think we're going to see a good few weeks delay before any of these companies that need this money actually get the money, because the banks haven't been given all the full details, and they've got to roll this out as some sort of package. They've got to train their staff. They've got to put together some kind of loan scheme to help people, but it's going to take time. So if you're relying on that, I think you'll have to wait a little bit longer. Yesterday we talked about Amazon and how many of the physical businesses are suffering, and many of these physical businesses are not going to pay their rent this quarter, which is the 27th of March. That's their quarterly rent date, and they're not going to be paying their rent. They will be saying to the landlords, "We can't pay you." And that's not small people. These are companies like Primark, who are part of Associated British Foods, a huge company, multi-billion-pound company, and Burger King. They're going to be saying to the landlords, "We can't pay our rent." This will have a knock-on effect on landlords, which has a knock-on effect on tax, which has a knock-on effect on pension schemes. Most of pension schemes and insurance companies own most of the prime property in the UK. So if you're in a pension scheme that owns some of those prime properties that are let out to Primark in Oxford Street or Burger King down the high street, then your pension scheme may take a hit. So that's happening. But those are the physical businesses which are obviously shut down. But online retailing is obviously booming because people are going online to buy everything. And Amazon is just booming. They are reportedly hiring 100,000 extra staff in America and 10,000 extra staff in the UK. So Amazon is booming. Why is Amazon booming? Well, Amazon has spent years and years building up their base, right? Their algorithms and their connections. And Amazon is not just Amazon retail in like, say, a Primark that buy all the stuff in and then sell it. Amazon deals with millions of smaller retailers that use Amazon as an online shop, if you like. Your shop window is Amazon. Now you could have your own website, right? You could say, well, I'm going to sell this widget and I'm going to put up mywidget.com and I'm going to be independent but who's going to see your shop window? Compared to if you put this widget immediately, you could go on Amazon and become an online Amazon seller, and you would immediately have a shop window that is potentially seen by hundreds of millions, if not billions of people in a month. You see what I mean? So this is what Amazon use, and they take a cut of everybody's business and everybody's turnover. So when you buy something on Amazon and it's not sold directly by Amazon, it could be you see this is an Amazon retailer, you buy that and Amazon may fulfill it, they may send out the goods to you, and then they take a percentage of that, maybe 30-40%. They take a percentage of that depending on the goods and whether it's their scheme, and they deal with the fulfillment and the delivery, and it's still worthwhile for the retailer because they've got such a massive presence online, and also from the fulfillment point of view, it's much easier to deal with a large company like Amazon to do the fulfillment rather than running down the post office yourself to post things and sticking stamps on and labels and all that sort of stuff. So Amazon have a very slick system. So they've enabled lots of smaller retailers to become bigger than they look, or look bigger than they are, by going to Amazon. Now, you could learn this yourself. There's no reason why you can't become an Amazon seller. There's no reason why you can't turn your physical business into an online business of some sort through using Amazon. How do you do it? Well, if you're interested, go online and learn it. But if you're interested in finding out how this might work, drop me a line. I'll put you in touch with some companies that provide courses on this side of things, and you could become an Amazon seller. I've done it myself in the past. I'm not currently doing it. It's not my thing at the moment, but I am an Amazon seller, and it's not that difficult to do. But if you want to do it right, you should learn how to do it. So if you want to turn your business into an online business, or you want to get into online retailing, or whatever you want to do, I mean, my book is on Amazon. This is sold on Amazon. You know, I could sell this myself, but you know, what chance have I got of going out and selling this myself? I can put it on Amazon. They do the work for me. They do fulfillment, and they take a cut. Fair enough. They even print it for me on demand. So I don't have a garage full of these printed. If somebody orders this book, the book is then printed and fulfilled by Amazon, and they get a copy, and I don't get a huge amount of the sale price, but I get a small percentage of it. But at least it's out there and done. So if you want to learn more about that, drop me a line, charles@charleskelly.net, or through Messenger, Charles Kelly, or take a look at my website, moneytipsdaily.com. So thanks for listening on that. I'll just give you any other news. I'll just check what's been going on today and see if there's any other news. UK reveals that 500,000 people have tried to claim benefits in the last 9 days. Now, America also is losing millions of jobs at the moment as people are laid off. High street chains refuse to pay rent. Prince Charles has been tested positive for the coronavirus. This is the royal family tragedy there. I believe he's okay, but he's tested positive. And and the self-employed are waiting for this lifeline from the Chancellor, Rishi Sunak. I will say Sunak. Anyway, so there you go. Thanks for listening, and try and adapt in this market. It's not the strongest that survive; it's the most adaptable that survive in the great Darwinian thing and the great Darwinian survival test. And it's the people that can adapt who will, in the long run, survive. And I'm sure that you will survive. Humans are, after all, very adaptable. We're very resourceful. Unlike the animal kingdom, we can just change our way of life just like that. We can move this way, we can do that way. You know, the birds fly south in the winter. We can go anywhere. We can go north, we can go east, we can go west. I'll take that from Jim Rohn, actually. Great guy. So there you go. Thanks for listening. This is Charles Kelly, bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate, and enjoy more money. I will catch you again tomorrow. Good night.